Hello, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, author of The Voices of Hockey, Broadcasters Reflect on the Fastest Game on Earth, and coming to you from the southwest corner of Washington State. Now, the Red Wings were out of action yesterday as they prepare for the away and home series against the Capitals this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We'll get to that in just a moment, but first, let's look at the Atlantic Division. Now, in this episode of Chutes and Ladders, we'll find our Red Wings on the top of the ladder at first place, despite losing on Wednesday and despite being idle on Thursday. Ottawa won yesterday, but Boston and Tampa both lost. Now, this is the way it's shaping up. The Red Wings are in first, a point ahead of Montreal, and following them are the Bruins and the Lightning. And then, basically, right after the Lightning are the Panthers, then on to the Senators, and to finally the Sabres. But one thing to think about is the fact that it's kind of become a reversal of roles down the ladder a little bit with Tampa Bay and Florida. Florida is right on Tampa's heels, and the difference right now is the fact that the Lightning are 3-6-1 in their last 10, and the Panthers are 6-3-1. So they are knocking, and obviously they're going to be a threat, and they're going to be a late season threat because they just have that solid team, and you just never want to fall asleep on them. It kind of reminds me of the Green Bay Packers for several years. They just middled a lot, and the Bears seem to be, Bears or Vikings seem to be like the top of the class there, but all of a sudden the Packers would always find a way on the very last game of the year to somehow win the division when Aaron Rodgers was there. So I kind of see the Panthers as the same way. If the playoffs started today, the seeds would be Carolina would be 1, Detroit would be 2, and Tampa would be 8. But going back to the Atlantic Division, there are only 7 points, 17 points that separate first from 8th. 7 team points separating 8 teams. So that is a very competitive division. Nobody's really running away with anything over there in the Atlantic. Now, as I like to call this, Red Wings are preparing for their away and home. I know the saying is home and away, but it seems like the Red Wings are on the first half of it. They're playing away, and then they come back home. So, preparing for their away and home against the Capitals this weekend. A couple of injuries to look at. Red Wings, Appleton's obviously still on the IR. Day-to-day for Kaner. We'll have to see with that upper body difficulty he's been having. He missed 9 games earlier in the season because of it, so we'll have to see if he's already missed 2 as a result of it this week. We'll see if he misses any more. But over in Washington, Dubois and Leonard are on the IR, and LaPierre may still be out with an illness. So really kind of a healthy 2 squads going up against each other. The Red Wings and Capitals, over their last 10 games against each other in the regular season, this is going back last season and the season before last, the Capitals are 6-4 in their last 10 against the Red Wings, and 4 out of 5 dating back to late in the 2023-24 season. So we're going to have to see if we can switch that around a little bit and maybe jump ahead of it. And I know that in the 23-24 season, it was Washington that got that 8 seed, and that was the virtual tie basically with the Red Wings and Washington going into the final game of the season. And the Caps actually got that 8 seed, and the Red Wings once again went home after 82 games. So looking at personnel on the Capitals, the team leader in both goals and points, and I've mentioned this before on the show, is right now we'll say is my second least favorite, because I still feel that Evander Kane with his tomfoolery a couple of weeks ago in Vancouver against the Red Wings still holds the top slot for my least favorite player, but holding the number 2 slot, and that could very well change this weekend depending on what happens. But Tom Wilson is leading the Caps in both goals and points, and always factoring in still is the all-time goal scorer in the NHL, and that's Ovi. He has 14 goals and 17 assists this year. So he is always scoring. I mean, there's just no way to put around it. He's always a threat. We're going to talk about a little bit about the blue paint in the no cap recap, but right now, what's on a lot of people's minds is the trade deadlines coming up here in the next couple of months, and everybody's kind of curious who's going to go where. So, doing a Google search now, of course, you can sit there and read social and watch social media all day and everything like that. But when you do a Google search, you'll see you'll see who are all on the kind of the discussions, and going position by position. Now, the only goalie, and this is why I bring this up, but the only goaltender that's in discussions as far as possible trade is Taubes, and I mean that's kind of interesting. But right now Taubes is kind of cold, so I don't know what his value might be for others, but people might be wanting it. Who knows? But he's one of the ones that are on the discussion block here. But going position by position, let's start first with the centers, and O'Reilly and Stamkos. That's Ryan O'Reilly and Steven Stamkos. Those are both out of Nashville. Stamkos, I watched Nashville. I was in Nashville last season. They were awful, and they won the game that I was at. They beat the Blue Jackets, but as disappointing as Nashville has seemed, I still feel like Stamkos is not disappointed. I think he's still a great player and a great presence at center. So, I mean, he's somebody I wouldn't really mind throwing on one of our lines, maybe the third or fourth line. I as opposed to when we had Tarasenko last year. Obviously, Tarasenko really didn't pan out that well, but I can see Steven Stamkos being a little bit different. I think he could really provide kind of an upstart for us. And you know what? Stevie Y was in the GM spot over there when they brought him up to Tampa. So Stevie Y knows Stamkos quite a bit. So don't exclude or rule out the possibility of Stamkos ended up in Detroit based on that. I think Stevie Y knows what he's capable of, and we all know what he's capable of. I mean, he, two-time Stanley Cup champion, went to the Stanley Cup Finals 4 different times. Obviously a good threat, and he's still producing. So going on over to the defensive players, we got Rasmus Andersson, Justin Falk, and the Pirate, Erik Karlsson. That's a possible. That guy has just been everywhere. I don't know. I know what Erik Karlsson is capable of doing, or was capable of doing 8 years ago when he led the Ottawa Senators all the way to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final. But my little tongue-in-cheek pun this week is the fact that if he does leave, it won't be the first time that a Pirate has left Pittsburgh. That city has been notorious for trading away the Pittsburgh Pirates players to other markets at the trade deadline. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did in hockey, and Karlsson ended up somewhere else. But now going to the forwards, Connor Garland, Yegor Chinakov, Nick Robertson, and one of my own personal favorites, having come from Las Vegas myself, is Alex Tuch of the Sabres. I would not be opposed to Alex Tuch being a part of the Red Wings lineup. I remember when I was in the summer of 2017, before the team had been announced. They hadn't played their first game yet, but there was a camp at this ice sheet up in Southwest Las Vegas, and I was checking out a lot of the players that were coming in, and one that stood above all, and I just turned to my buddy and we just said, my gosh, how big is that guy? And that was Alex Tuch. And he basically went to Buffalo in the trade that got the Golden Knights Jack Eichel. I was sad to see Tuch leave Vegas. Happy to have Eichel come in. Obviously made a big difference in getting the Knights that Stanley Cup championship in 2023. But let me tell you, Alex Tuch is somebody that I would not mind being on our side of the face-off circle. He already beat us pretty well on a couple of times this season as a Sabre. So maybe if he's going to do that, maybe he should do it on our side. Anyway, that's basically all the talks as far as possible trades. Like I said, Steven Stamkos and Alex Tuch obviously wouldn't be complaining too much if those guys ended up with a red and white jersey and with the winged wheel on it. Now, this comes to today's no cap recap. Going back to Wednesday night's loss against the Mammoth, McClellan was talking a lot about the play around the blue paint, is what he'd call it, and talking about right down there against the goal. And he was saying things that were preventable goals against the Mammoth. He said there were about 3 preventable goals. So that obviously made the difference in the game. Red Wings lose only only the second time in the last 10 games that they lost in regulation. So I don't think that McClellan has been too down on the team. It definitely hasn't been down on them on these 2 losses, the 2 regulation losses that they've had, one against Edmonton and one against Utah. He's honestly admitted to the fact that they've been playing well. So this is what he said, despite the losses, saying they're playing well. This is what he said. Or at least this is what AI Slang Translator says. Tonight the difference was totally obvious, It was all about playing around our net, not just the goals we coughed up, but the chances that they had way early in the game. They were way better around their blue paint, and I ain't just talking about the goalie. I'm talking about clearing pucks, batting them away, making sure we had sticks on the plays headed towards the scoring slot. We didn't. And check out that first goal, totally stoppable. The second one too. The third one as well. They all happened the same way, man. They were better than us in that area straight up, and they punked us. We got to get our act together this week because we're playing a team that crashes the net and scores in those spots in DC. Well, we hope that the Red Wings don't allow the Capitals to crash against them and score in those spots in these next 2 games. So we'll just have to see when the weekend comes around. And Monday comes around, and we'll rehash Saturday and Sunday's action, see how the Red Wings come out of it, see how they are on the division ladder come Monday. But until then, this has been Red Wings Daily. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight. This has been presented to you by FanArch. We thank you all for all your subscriptions, all the likes. Please continue to subscribe and view. We want your comments. Anything you want changed, please let us know. We're up over 20,000 views on the page or on the show, and so a lot of good things happening. I thank you all for your viewership, and LGRW from the PNW.